Hey there, Stealth here, and welcome back to Broken Arrow. Today, a quick game, but I'm going to analyze, well, as far as I can, because there's no replay feature, why it was such a quick game. We won the game, and now I'm going to see what the enemy could have done different or better, just based on what I can actually see from them throughout the fight. So, every once in a while, I'll pause the video and share my thoughts on what the enemy could have done better. Let's begin. I'm starting with one ASF. Our random friend is starting with two F-35s and a Brutus? Okay.
I'm going to start with an F-22.
So
I'm going to keep it low and around the left.
Yep. Their spawns are interesting. They can spawn on both sides of that river.
Yeah. So my spawn point is at this intersection. That's not too bad. Oh wow, the edge of the map here is actually pretty far out.
Yeah, that's good for flanking.
It is, but without bases.
Playing.
Reaper.
And pause. The reason I'm pausing here is because we're only seeing one ASF. That is a bit light on the enemy team, because it's pretty normal, pretty typical, for players to start flying in their troops at the start of the battle. So you're already seeing an Osprey in the middle of the screen, you're seeing an Osprey on the right side of the screen going over Charlie towards Bravo. There's additional helicopters flying around. There is definitely a lot of points to be had. The enemy showed up with one F-35, which can sort of double roll as an ASF, but I haven't had great success with it. So by doing this, the enemy is already giving us a very quick way to deploy forward. This can work against us. It can work against us in the way that we quickly overextend and then have trouble catching up to our own forces. On the other hand, it does allow us to dig into the most favorable positions. So this not really having an ASF, or as the game community tends to call it, not paying your air tax, can already cause issues right at the start of the game.
King Stallion, get that one.
Going for King Stallion. F-35's down.
Ooh.
Okay, I took a big hit. I'm falling back.
Stallion's down.
Copy that.
Who's the dark green on my left? I don't know who that is.
Me, potentially?
With the Osprey on the far right
Yes.
right now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Gotcha. I can't tell who's who. Might be a UI thing.
That's a lot of helos. Pause. Why did the enemy go up with a whole bunch of Kyoa Warriors? I don't quite understand that. The way I see the Kyoa Warrior is a reconnaissance bird that you can weaponize. It can have stingers, so air-to-air, it can have air-to-ground, but it's not exactly a unit I would strictly use in my opener, because it tends to be a little bit more specialized. I can make the case for using one. I cannot make the case for using 4. By using this many aircraft of this type, it already shows us that they are weak somewhere else. Their points have definitely gone into these helos, so they might not have as many ground troops.
Less planes than last time. Striker in range of the helos.
Pause. Those Kiowas are still there. You can see that those Stinger troops are out of missiles, and the Kiowas just stick around. Seeing as the more units you deploy, the less income you have, having all these Kiowas around and actually not doing anything, not contributing to the front line, not contributing to the fight, not capturing zones, means that somebody over there is wasting points. Either pull them out, get them resupplied, and push them onto a different side of the battlefield, or just sell them off. Tell them to return to base by hitting B and get your points back. Not only will you be able to deploy more units by buying the new units from the points that you just got back as a refund, but you also get your income to go back up. This guy's doing neither, so he's wasting time and points and not being able to deploy more forces elsewhere on the battlefield. Pause. Lots of trucks coming in on my position. Unfortunately for them, they're just trucks. They don't actually have the capability of providing fire support to the infantry that's inside the vehicle. This means that not only are they unable to give their infantry support, they're also unable to defend themselves. This means I have an easier time keeping my infantry alive, and though that turns out to be a bit of a challenge considering the amount of stuff that's coming in, the enemy isn't doing themselves any favors. A better way to go about this is to have a mix of a couple of transport trucks with infantry inside, escorted or led by something that actually has, for example, an autocannon. You have all sorts of vehicles which carry machine guns, heavy machine guns, autocannons. You can take your pick of the litter. The question is, what are you going to bring and how are you going to escort these troops? Because if you don't, it is very easy to get rid of a column like this. Next mistake. The guy offloaded his troops. Good reaction. The problem is he's not making them scatter. This is one big troop concentration. One big bomb on it, a cruise missile, a helicopter with rocket pods, and the whole thing melts. Scatter your troops the moment that you have them deployed, and especially if they're in contact with the enemy. Because the guy isn't actually doing that, I immediately call in a stealth fighter with 2 cruise missiles and just hit the position where the infantry is. This way, even if my troops die, and it's very likely that I'll lose my troops here, I can eliminate all of their guys in one go. Exactly like that.
Oh, might need to unload.
Guardian here. New flight plan received. Comanche here. Guardian, awaiting mission. Go, go, go.
By now my QRF has arrived, which is typically a couple of Comanches. With those I can quickly eliminate both air and ground targets, as well as engage helicopters. So I have a bit of everything in those Comanche and the Apache Guardian going with it. Seeing as there's nothing else there, I can just keep pushing forward, and that's what I typically do until I'm forced to fall back.
Proceeding as frag. Flying there now. Can Roger. We're rolling.
I'm giving this guy absolute hell on the left.
Good.
Jet here. Rolling on the
Getting drone above us, stealth.
Copy that. I might be able to get a shot in.
new course set.
Kill. There's a Prowler up, beware your AA.
Fencing out.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Turned off.
Osprey ready. Need supplies? Rolling on double nickel. On the road again. New bearing set. Fly truck ready to transport. Comanche at your command. They won't see me.
Oh, lovely.
Roger that. Strike area confirmed. Turning out. Back to Mexico. Hey, check out this rooster cruiser they gave me. Roger that. Sweeping the area. Ain't nothing gonna get in our way.
At this point I've captured some more terrain. I'm just seeing how far my Comanche and my Apache Guardian can go. There is an active PIVADS around, and for some reason I am able to get some shots in until they drive it behind the building. So well played there. I just keep pushing forward. The farther forward I can get and the earlier I can ambush their forces, the farther I can fall back, which will give me some flexibility in making sure my troops can get there by the time that I know what to fight. So that's why I already have a weapons team over here. I have a sniper team which is spotting, and I'm starting to already ambush units on the side of Gulf so that they cannot start capturing that zone back. So I'm already trying to pre-plan and make sure that I have the right forces there. If I cannot get the forces there in time, I can always get an aircraft to potentially deliver some cruise missiles.
Well, I don't know what the shore it's doing, but
Come on guys, we capture Gulf, we're done.
One inbound.
Alright.
There's quite a bit of Rangers around Golf.
Yeah, there is.
same.
Raptor, combat ready. Roger, flying there. New heading set.
How do you drop supplies with the Osprey?
You just tell it to
Call on
unload.
the Osprey and tell it to bring supplies.
Yeah, click on your chopper, attach supplies, bring it in, drop it where you want.
I'm going to pause here for a second. My Raptor is able to consistently shoot down enemy drones. Those drones can be used in a combat role. You can attach Hellfires, bombs, stingers to them. The problem is, if you rely too much on these platforms for reconnaissance, you might not have enough vision. Now, I'm not saying they are relying too much upon this, but I'm seeing a lot of drones. So that means that some of those points, which could be going into, let's say, ground-based reconnaissance forces, are instead going to air. If I'm instead able to shoot those things down, they're not getting information about the battlefield, which gives us an advantage. So in this case, if you see that the enemy has good AA, as we did, and has sometimes a Raptor patrolling the skies, maybe not use as many drones, because that way you have a pretty surefire way of losing the unit you just called in.
It is there.
What type? Did you catch that?
No, it's long range hitting a Raptor, though.
Copy that. There's a B-2 Spirit up.
Firing.
Joint strike fighter at your command, sir.
That's
I have no idea
really
what he
expensive.
was trying to
I
drop.
do not have enough missiles.
With your 40 Patriots, you don't have enough?
I only brought one launcher. It's shooting so many missiles. It's so quick. It's insane. Oof. Okay.
New course set. Joint strike fighter at your command, sir.
B2's down.
Nice.
Solid copy.
Ooh,
With a
it
bang?
That was
crashed.
a big.
Joint strike fighter at your
Did a number on my forces there.
Guardian ready.
Nighthawk inbound.
I got some good A in the far left. I'm bringing a striker in up there trying to find it.
Roger that. Sweeping the area. Guardian reporting in. The Guardian is in the air. Guardian reporting in. Guardian ready.
Nope, we're about done.
Yeah.
Nice work. If you're able to capture all of the capture zones, the game triggers sudden death. The enemy has to get one command zone back if they want to stay in the game. Of course, that's not necessarily easy, but in a situation such as this, it is definitely worth it to try and come back, because the game still has plenty of time left. So in a situation like this, I would very much try to focus all efforts on one of the capture zones. In this case, it could have been Gulf. So the enemy team held at least one zone, and with that extended the game. Because especially in phase 2 and 3, when those points start getting more valuable, well, you can come back. It's not easy, but it can be done. And it's always a very triumphant feeling when you do.
Apache far left.
What I suspect is happening here is that the enemy has either a lot of forces deployed somewhere that they're not actively using, or they're floating a lot of points. Which means that even with 1:44 left on the clock, they can still come back. Just start spamming units. This way, you're going to be able to get one zone. It could be golf, it could be hotel. Either of these zones are, well, not exactly solidly under our control. You can see they're making some moves, but they're not exactly going directly for the zone, and they're also using just 1 or 2 vehicles. Make bigger concentrations. If it is the last-ditch effort, go full tilt. Get all your vehicles in. It can just be BMP-1s, it can be a couple of fairly cheap, so long as they're not trucks, vehicles that support your forces. Just get in there.
Attack vector confirmed. Ready to pickle. Let's reduce them to scrap.
As the game draws to a close here, I'm just trying to support some of these forces. I know that I cannot get anything to the front line in time, except a cruise missile or 2. That's why you see me call in this Nighthawk, use a couple of cruise missiles, go after some, well, not strictly high-value targets, but things which I think could help my allies if they were removed. So that's why I'm using a couple of these cruise missile birds. I don't want to bring anything to the front line. I don't have the capability of doing an airdrop, so why bother?
Airstrike is go for effect. New heading set. Bugging out.
GG.
Yeah, they can't save it.
Good work. That was fast. So that's the end of the game. I'm very curious to see exactly what these players were doing. And unfortunately, at the moment that I'm recording this, we don't have a replay feature yet. I'm very eager to get that feature so I can start looking at my own replays as well as replays from others, such as potentially you, so that I can analyze your gameplay, learn from it, or potentially help you learn from it and with it. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. Let me know what your thoughts are below. If you have any suggestions on how I can improve this video format, by all means, leave a comment. And otherwise, I'll see you soon for more Broken Arrow.